All right. So we are recording. Here we are.
Hi, Kacey.
Hi, Nancy. We're fighting over the title of what will be a series of Zoom calls. I want to call it the Nancy and Kacey Show. And Nancy,
And I say it's the Kacey and Nancy Show. Kacey's your guide with Shine On, etc.
well, I believe Nancy is the meat here and I am the potatoes. I am the student. I'm the student here, but I'm so grateful to have this conversation. Very briefly, I'm a radio host here in New York's Hudson Valley, and I've had Nancy on my show, and I just keep asking her back and asking her back. I've got so much to say, and so that's why we're here. And tell everybody about your background.
Yes, hello everybody. I am a licensed professional counselor and a licensed addiction therapist in private practice down here in Virginia. I have been in the field of psychology for 43 years, worked both in mental health and addictions, and along the line have done a lot of work for myself as well. I've not just been to school and gotten all those blah, blah, blah licenses. Probably by the middle 1990s, I realized there was a lot of need for me to stop and really start understanding myself in relationships, how I respond, how I maybe overgive, overfunction. We'll get into gosh knows what. So over the last 30 years, really, I've woven my professional work and my personal growth. And Kacey and I got to meet each other first because I had a second edition of a book of mine, When You've Disentangled, When You've Lost Yourself in Someone Else. There we go. It was released in August, the second edition. And we started meeting over that particular book. I won't go into that right now. I do have a second book called My Life as a Border Collie. Has it arrived in New York yet? Yes. There we go. And Kacey and I haven't even begun to touch into thoughts and work I have in there. So there, and Kacey's showing you the third. It's called The Little Book, self-published by me. Came out of a PowerPoint, super quick reference book. And I will add, someone I know up in New York had it and said that they kept it in their bag when they were traveling around Manhattan. And if they were in a cab, they'd reach down and pull out the little book and you can flip to, one thing you might find useful for yourself. We're specifically looking at self and self in relationships.
Self and self in relationships. This is a wonder.
Oh, good.
Open it up to any page and you here, page 76, learn when to stop. Brilliant. Right. You'll see I've got 3 pugs and an orange cat roaming around my house. I hope that's not too much of a distraction. If you hear snoring, it's the pug under my feet. My girlfriend said to me, I talk about this book all the time to all my girlfriends. And my girlfriend said, can I borrow it when you're done? I said, oh no, I will never be done. You can never borrow this. I've written on almost every page, underlining, underscoring. When You've Lost Yourself in Someone Else is a wonderful book. And I think it's for everyone. I think we all lose ourselves at some point. We are going to get into the topic of relationship and relationship to self. But I have one question for you today.
Already. That
my girlfriend asked me, and I said that is going to be the first question I asked Nancy.
And I don't know what it is.
No.
There's no advance warning here.
None. We've now seen each other for as long as you've seen us. We were on the Zoom maybe 2 or 3 minutes before we joined you.
That's right.
Here's the question. What should a normal relationship look like between an adult person and their parents?
Yes, it's interesting. I think that we want it to be adult to adult is my straight in answer there. And Kacey, what I reach for, I'm going to immediately pull out my colored circles.
Mhm.
It's not, do they translate okay on the
Well,
screen there?
like a yellow and a blue, like the
Yes,
color of this
yeah,
rectangle, right?
exactly, which is its reference. Okay, so everyone, this is a core way I think of it, and it will answer Kacey's questions. Person, person. When we are young, we have a parent and a child, and we have an enmeshed relationship. By necessity, the child needs us. And, but as the child grows, I'll do it this way, as the child grows and becomes more independent, what we want is to foster the growth of the self of the child. And as we do, make sure the parent has a healthy self that they can go off and do whatever they enjoy doing. So the entire developmental progression is a healthy separating. It's, you can share, but it is also a development into self. This person has a self and this one does. And though I'm answering it in a developmental point of view, this will apply to our relationships with friends and significant others and coworkers and whatever. So as we separate, we're wanting this person and this person each not only to have a self, but Kacey, to become an adult, so that once the parent and the child are, the problems come if the parent still treats them like a child. That's the dynamic that can go wrong. Or we have to be careful that we don't switch roles and try to start parenting the parents. If both are healthy mentally and physically, we want the parent and the adult child to be adult to adult and to listen to each other, to respect differences, to notice where the boundaries are, to certainly spend time together and share. But when they need to separate, they honor that and let the other person go. I gotta go, I can't keep talking. Okay, honey, I know, I appreciate that. Take care. Okay, so I'll give you that and you can take it from there.
Okay, that's a very good global look at things. I get that. I get that.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm going to bring you is a lot of conversations from girlfriends.
Okay, great. That's a
And,
good show name.
right? Conversations with girlfriends, from girlfriends, girlfriends together.
Yes, yes.
And this one particular girlfriend says, I don't know what my relationship to my mother should be like. And in
Mm-hmm.
this particular case, she is an adult who has often parented the mother, who has often
Oh, yeah.
parented.
So it went that way. Got it. Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
why does that happen? Why do children end up parenting their parents?
It can be a message that they have received from the parents that I need you to help me do blah, blah, blah. Or sometimes parents turn children into their confidants. None of these do we feel like is healthy parenting, but the message can be conveyed directly or indirectly that my mental health depends on you, my child, acting in a certain way or being able to listen to me. The other thing, Kacey, is, and I say this with love, everything is said with love and patience and compassion by me. And that is sometimes the home environment can have a level of chaos, whether it's coming from addiction, any number of types of addiction, or chronic illnesses, that particular child decides, and they need to be the parent and help to keep this family system stabilized.
Right, right. So the
Mm-hmm.
child made a decision that I got to jump in and steer the ship.
Right. And we also say that was probably important then. I mean, they probably did need to steer the ship.
Mhm.
The problem becomes once they're adults and don't want to keep steering the ship, then there's some work to figure out, which may be some of why you're asking the question. Then there have to be some shifts there.
Right.
Within self, here we are, folks, within self and in the relationship itself,
Right.
which isn't easy. I'll let you jump in. Yeah.
And that's exactly what my girlfriend is going through now. She's seeing a therapist and she's trying to learn how to take her hands off the wheel of this relationship. And also, and I'm going to throw this up at you too. It's a little out there, but she grew up with a mother, and the mother would tell the daughter about her sex life.
The mother would, yeah. No, I mean, you know, you and I, our last show was on boundaries, Kacey. And I mean, so much of this already is bringing, that's clearly unhealthy boundaries. In my opinion, I mean, I think that it's asking the child to know too much. You know, the expression people go, too much information can be too much information. And then we're asked to carry it.
Right.
And it becomes a burden. Yeah.
Why would a mother do that?
It would, I would have to know a lot about the mom's background and internal structure. Often we're doing only what we were taught to, by the behavior of a family system. It could come from, believe it or not, loneliness and wanting to connect, wanting to have a meaningful relationship, and misdirected at that. But doing that, it could come from a number of things that it would require understanding why her.
Gotcha. Okay. And I want to give you one more scenario, and then I want to jump into something we talked about on the radio show, is the different functions in the household. But here's another scenario, and these are real stories from real girlfriends, and I hope they never see this show.
Kacey, can I interrupt you already? Before we move away from this, what I want to say is, for girlfriend you just referred to, one of the things I would invite her to do is for her to think what type of relationship she wants to have with her mom. I think that all of my work comes back to, okay, I did that and they did that. What is it I want it to look like now? So I'll just simply leave it at that.
I'm going to write that down. What do I want it to look like now?
Yeah. Now, and we're not magicians. We're not able to run out and make it happen. But if we have an intention in ourself and understand what I want it to look like, I can at least bring that to the relationship as a start.
Right. You can be the thing you're looking for.
Yeah. I mean, and in a really strong scenario, the two people, I'm getting my circles because I use circles all the time, folks. The mother and the daughter would be able, the daughter might say, hey, look, I love you. I want to have a continued relationship. You know, here's what would work for me. Here's what I wish we could make a little different. Now, I think that's a gigantic step and shouldn't be taken right away. But if two people can understand, well, we've always done it this way, but we're going to change it because we can both be healthier individuals, which is the goal.
Right.
That's ideal. All right.
Okay. I don't know if you can hear it, but they're picking up my trash right now. Hear it?
No.
Big motor running.
Hello, New York.
Here for the recycling, and that the cat just knocked something over too, I think.
Well, what we've learned in the pandemic is life goes on, you know.
And we've seen the inside of everyone's home too.
Yes.
Here's one more scenario. It's again a mother-daughter relationship.
Yeah.
And this is a relationship where the mother never calls the daughter. The daughter has to do all the initiation. What's that?
You know, I grew up with that pretty much. I actually, I don't know if that historically is, I'm going to answer you better than that, but I do have some wonderings if there are some historical roots in it. There may be cultural roots in it that I'm not aware of, but I know that I have a close friend who would have been my mom's age, and she is the same way. Okay. So one is, I think there's a historical, cultural, respect the elders type thing. Possibly. Um, my mom, this is another one, and she is deceased, would always say, um, you're so busy, I don't know when I can catch you, so I just wait till you call. Because I did what I'm going to talk about here in a minute, and that is I addressed it a little bit, you know, but I'll come back to that. Um, the perception is that I'm so busy, and I never ever knew, my friends, if that was just an honest, accurate statement, or if there was any, you know, guilt stuff woven in there, which we have to watch out for as well. Um, I think that the healthy thing is to, two things come to mind. One, to say, please call me anytime. I'd like for you. That's what I ultimately did, Kacey. And that's how I know my mom said, oh, well, you know, I never know when I can catch you. So I think healthy communication is super important, that we just ask for it. The other is, nothing I say is game playing. The other thing is, call when you want to talk. I think when calls start having an obligation to them, they lose their spark. And in fact, I think they get complicated. So if you're the only caller and you want to talk, call. If you're the only caller and it's not where you're at right now, I would say discern that pretty carefully, whether you want to call out of obligation or not.
Okay. Do you see why it's the Nancy and Kacey show? I'm writing down what she says. Call when you want to talk. And what do I want it to look like now? Okay? Whenever I talk to you, I write things down.
Thank you, Kacey.
This book is so wonderful, Disentangle, especially if there's any adult children of alcoholics, or just if you grew up in a dysfunctional home, whether it was alcoholism or whatever. I think this book is such a gem. And it talks about the roles that people take in a dysfunctional home. Like everybody seems to it's like some sort of magnetic thing. Everybody takes a spot. Everybody grabs a title or finds a role, or maybe wears a couple of those hats. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, they do it, Kacey, to keep the equilibrium in the household, to keep equilibrium, homeostasis. I'm using words out of our field, family systems theory and techniques. Because, and so what are the roles? Let me say, I'll use Sharon Wegscheider Cruz's roles here today. There are 4 of them. And the top one, the first one, is the hero who does things right, who makes people proud of them. The second is the scapegoat, who is the troublemaker or the one who gets in trouble, and who everyone thinks, well, if so-and-so could behave, we'd all be fine. Okay, so that the light gets shown on that particular person. The third role is a lost child, and that is they often like to go to their room, entertain themselves, imaginary play. It was funny, I had never identified myself as a lost child, but the other day I was out I'm in rural Virginia, everybody, Shenandoah Valley. I was out working in my little gardens for hours. And I was practically creating forts. And actually it's called the chapel, and it's in the woods. And I'm like, man, if this isn't lost child behavior, and it's not bad, I'll come back to that. I was completely, at 68 years old, having a whole playtime in my imaginary world. Okay. I did come in and get back to reality, folks. But anyway, so lost child. The fourth is mascot. And that is the entertainer. We can keep equilibrium here by entertaining people, or by making people laugh, or perhaps by changing the subject. But, a mascot, people are probably glad to see coming.
Right.
Okay, yeah. So those 4 roles, I'm talking about children in a family now, will be absorbed even if there aren't 4 kids. And so, because Kacey, remember, all those roles need to be played to keep things from falling out of whack. Now, the system, the family system is out of whack, but there's still this energy and psychology that wants to keep the balance of what we already have, because change is too threatening.
Right.
So, so these 4 roles come in. Often they are related to birth order, not absolutely, but it is fascinating how many firstborns I end up seeing in my practice who are heroes. Okay. It's very, very interesting. There's nothing wrong with the roles unless we become rigidly attached to them. So if I always am obligated to be the hero and have everything managed and under control, you know, whether it's the family dinner or, you know, we're going into the holidays, so we'll pull up Thanksgiving and Christmas, or, you know, the event that we are sponsoring, everything has to be just right and everyone is depending on me. What I don't want is to be rigidly attached to that role. I want to be able to go out and be the lost child in my yard.
Right.
Some, yeah, you know, so there's some things on roles.
Hero, scapegoat, lost child, mascot. This is what's happened. These make so much sense to me. I don't know how it happens, but it happens that everybody takes their role, and now that's normal. We're
Right.
locked in, people. We know what's going to happen. We know everybody's going to play their part. That happens in a dysfunctional family. What happens in a normal family or a healthy family?
Yeah, so I can only theorize, but what I would say, I'm going to go back to my circles, but I'll answer you first. What we want, what health would look like in a normal family, I think, is flexibility. Okay, you know, it's not always expected this, not as opposed to rigidity. I mean, I'm not talking about family rules and the way we operate, but I mean, me not feeling like I have to parent my mom all of the time. Okay, me feeling like, oh gosh, I get to be the kid and she gets to be the parent. You know, which is a rough example because she should always be the parent. But I would say flexibility and interest in each other, as a mutual interest, not just a selfish interest or an other focused interest. You're interested in me, I'm interested in you. I mean, I think that's part of, I've enjoyed the way we're getting to know each other, Kacey, because I think we're mutually interested.
Right.
So I would say mutual, flexible, mutual, yeah, would be certainly different than rigid roles that if what do we do when the hero packs up and goes off to college? And what happens to the family system? Well, they probably aren't even encouraged to pack up and go to college necessarily.
Right, exactly.
Very
interesting stuff. Should we pause here and come back another time?
It's fine, Kacey. You've got the business. That sounds fine.
You've got the knowledge.
But you have, Kacey, you have the questions. I mean, you really take the material and think it through. I mean, this Conversations with Girlfriends is, see how you want to put that in somewhere.
All right. Well, when people talk to me about things, I've been saying, let me go look at Disentangle. And then when I talk to Nancy, I'll ask her.
Yes. No.
Is this the brand new book?
No, that was 2011. It has been out, Kacey. Yeah. Okay. So it's, I love it. It's so sweet. And it is, okay. So I had written Disentangle and then I had a border collie. And one day, years ago, Daisy, I was in the bathroom brushing my teeth and Daisy was like, I'm like, well, you're just like me, because we're devoted and attentive and, you know, smart and people pleasing, and it all spun out. So it's written in a whole different way. It tells stories and then it pours into lessons. There are like 144 lessons over 12 characteristics in there. So we can play with any of that. I would love to play with that more.
But I just want to say this, if that title, My Life as a Border Collie, makes complete sense to you, you have got to follow Nancy Johnston and everything she does.
Thank you.
Because it made perfect sense to me. So we'll come back and do some more. Tell people where they can reach you.
Yes, I think the easiest thing is through my professional website, nancyljohnston.com. All sorts of links to the books. There's a press tab now that my wonderful daughter has created that lists online articles. It has both interviews with Kacey that you can just link to if you want some more information about me or recent work or how to get the books.
Perfect. And you can find me at kacey.co, KACEY.co. And we will talk again.
Yay. Yes. Bye.
Bye.